Hey book lovers, and welcome back to the channel. So if you're in the mood for a book that feels like a warm cup of tea on an awful rainy day, then this is the book for you. We're talking cozy fantasy, The Phoenix Keeper by S.A. MacLean. I actually got this book at Fest. It was one of the arcs that they had in the gift bag, so I'm really excited that I got to read this before launch, and it really was an amazing book, so let's get into it. So you might be wondering what makes The Phoenix Keeper so special, and the first thing is it's a low fantasy book. It's about zookeeping / magical creatures. So the main character Aila, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce her name, is the phoenix keeper in this zoo in the fictional world, where there's many different magical creatures all over, and the zoo houses many different ones like kelpies, unicorns, dragons, griffins and phoenixes, and many more that we'll go on to talk about in a bit as well. And our main character's dream job is being a phoenix keeper since she was a small child, and she visited this exact zoo that she works in. But unfortunately for her, we're in a bit of a crisis. The phoenix breeding program has not happened at her zoo in years, but the zoo not far from them, the closest zoo to them, had a phoenix breeding program, but unfortunately there was a break-in and some eggs were stolen, and therefore the next step is to try and get the male bird to come and stay at their zoo and to set up a new breeding program in their zoo. And how Aila tries to set all this up is the main basis of the book. Aila is such a relatable main character. She's significantly introverted and she has really bad anxiety, which I'm sure I can relate to. I'm sure you guys can too. And when there's kind of mischievous dragons and dangerous kelpies around, why would you not want to be around the animals instead of people? I always say that I prefer being around pets than people, and Aila is exactly the same with her zoo animals as well as her animals at home. But when it gets interesting is for the Phoenix breeding program, Luciana, who is the Griffin keeper at the zoo, also has to come on board to help be the manager for the PR of the program and kind of promote it and get all the funding and money that they need for the program to go ahead. Of course, Luciana is a arch nemesis of Aila. They have disliked each other greatly since college days. There's a huge backstory as part of the plot as they learn to get along better and work to be the best for the program. The tension between them is chef's kiss amazing. We see all the ups and downs. There's professional rivalry, rich backstory, and unresolved past drama, which is kind of a miscommunication trope if I'm honest with you, but it's really beautifully done and you understand both sides and also what happens throughout the story. But the book's not all about drama and relationships. We also have Aila's amazing bond with the animals she looks after. There's Rubra, who is the titular phoenix. They have an amazing bond as she tries to make sure Rubra's enclosure and nesting is set up for the breeding program. And there's also other animals like Archie, the Archie bird, who is kind of a mischievous bird that likes to collect metal things and shiny things for their nest. A little bit like a magpie, but a bit more magical. Now, the plot itself is not going to be some mystery, thriller, exciting chase sequence, but the heart of the story is definitely how it feels like a low cozy fantasy. So it's kind of like pulling over your blanket and curling up with your favorite hot drink on a kind of slow day. That's what it feels like to read this book, and I would recommend it to anyone who loves cozy fantasy. The book itself is nearly always contained within the zoo. There's a few occasions where we go to an apartment and Aila's family's restaurant, but other than that we're really enclosed into this one small area. So the world building is quite deep in some cases, but it's very deep on a very small area. We learn about these animals from different continents, but we don't see those continents, and things like that. The themes of the book are really beautifully woven in throughout the story as well. Aila has to go through a lot of personal growth, overcome anxiety, and the biggest one of all is accepting help from others. While she's not a people person, things just go along a lot better when you accept help from those that want to help you, and that's one of the big things for her throughout the story. There's also kind of this secondary theme about conservation, endangered animals, and like the importance of places like the zoo in the story that is taking care to look after and preserve these species, because people ruin it for everyone. And I really enjoyed that kind of secondary theme. I think it's very relatable to real life. Despite the animals themselves being magical creatures in the book, we can definitely say it's the same for creatures that are real in our world as well. MacLean's writing is a little bit like a warm hug. I found the writing to be really well paced. The book itself's really slow, but you don't feel like you're trying to like get through the pages. I read this, I think, 2 or 3 sittings. It wasn't a long time for me to read the book at all, because I just wanted to know what was going to happen, especially with the phoenixes and our main characters and the relationships that were formed. There's a few different love interests. Our main character is bisexual, and then we also have her best friend and her best friend's boyfriend and her family, and there's lots of really good relationships that are formed throughout the story, and they really keep you hanging on to every word. I think MacLean's writing is really good for those personal relationships. So yeah, if you're ready for a magical escape that's as comforting as it is captivating, The Phoenix Keeper is the one for you. I would definitely recommend it. Any of my fantasy girlies, you will love this book, especially those that love low fantasy and cozy fantasy. The Phoenix Keeper should be on your TBR list. And that's it for my review wrap up of The Phoenix Keeper. Please let me know if you've already read it as well and how much you enjoyed it too, or if you were going to put it on your TBR in the comments below, and I will see you again in the next video.